So today we're going to talk about this phenomenon that is surrounding the film Sound of Freedom and what this film is about and some of the backlash to it. Now, in a nutshell, because most people probably already know what this is all about, but it's a film that was made, actually filmed and completed a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, from what I understand. Certainly been in production longer than that as well. It was made by 20th Century Fox, I believe, but then they got bought out by Disney, and Disney sat on it and shelved it. They did not want to release this film for one reason or another. Now, after a lot of backwards and forwards, the studio that made this, from what I understand, they actually bought the rights back to release this themselves. There was a bit of crowdfunding involved as well, and this film has finally got a release. And the film is about child trafficking. It's about the real life story of a guy called Tim Ballard, who used to work for Homeland Security. He was finding obstructions in the work that he was doing in cracking these child trafficking rings. He was working on a very huge case, at which point he got obstructed. At this point, he had to just quit and go private and finish off the work that he was doing. And that's primarily what this film is about. And there is a religious angle to this as well, but we are dealing with good versus evil, so I think there is merit for that as well. Even if you don't necessarily follow religion yourself, it's certainly compatible. Now, the main thing isn't the actual film itself. Obviously, like, it's kind of an analogy here because he went private from Homeland Security to doing the work he did. The movie itself has had a similar trajectory. It was part of the system, major studios involved. Then it had to kind of decouple from them and actually go, some would say, rogue and independent. And it actually found a lot of success. So the actual movie success kind of mirrors what this guy went through as well in a lot of ways. And this film has been a huge success. $14 million budget from what I understand, and it's held its own against films like the new Indiana Jones, which from what I understand was 350 million or something. I don't know if that factors in marketing or whatever as well. But also even the new Mission Impossible film, which I liked. It's a huge story. The mainstream media is not happy with this. The attack dogs have come out. It's just been insane. So that's what we're going to talk about today, this film Sound of Freedom.
Going to talk about the film in terms of success, what we kind of, why we want to see it, because it's not been released in the UK. I've just started recording, by the way. So we're talking about Sound of Freedom. We haven't had it released in the UK as yet. John, you're free to say what you want to say, anything really. This video isn't going to be for kids. The subject matter is pretty hard, and there's going to be some things said in this as well from my personal experience, possibly as well.
Yep.
So feel free to say what you want to say about it.
Right. So my background, to anybody who doesn't know, is I was sexually abused as a teenager in 3 years. So there's one thing for 3 years. Now, my abuser finally sentenced, he's got 2 life sentences he's serving now. One of the things I'm increasingly passionate about, one of the things that I get involved with, is I waived anonymity on the day that I went to court. I trained police. I train their recruits how to approach and deal with survivors. I run a Facebook page. I deal with people who come to me asking for support, and I think it is so important that and it is an uncomfortable subject matter, is child abuse. I don't disagree with that, but equally, I don't think we should be shying away from it, because we cannot be shying away from something where children are going missing on a daily basis, if not hourly basis, and they are disappearing into the ether because you have got people who are paying money, who are of a different world that we will ever see, who are subjecting kids to unspeakable things. So this leads into Sound of Freedom. Now, I first heard about this around the same time as you did. And I've heard it's been dismissed, it's been belittled, it's been tried to be passed off as a Christian film. So, basically, the mainstream media are attacking the film at every level going, at every opportunity level going, to try, and it would appear, to discredit the film, which is about how horrendous child trafficking is. So the question is, why would you try and belittle a film that is trying to bring awareness to child trafficking, not from a Hollywood plot, but from the story of a real man who was an officer who rescued children. And I think it is so important that not only people see this film, but we somehow get a deal for it in the UK, so we can go to see cinema. We can go to the cinema, to see the film. And I think it's absolutely important that people go see this to show people that we're not accepting the bullshit that goes with this. We're not accepting the narrative that we can hypersexualize young people. I mean, I just look at the Sam Smith concert. Just look at what goes on in those concerts. They are geared up at children. That should not be allowed at children. That should come with an 18 warning. That isn't me against Sam Smith. That is saying we should not sexualize the world that a child occupies. That's me just opening up there. Sorry about that, Matt.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is what some of the makers of the film have said, and Jim Caveizel, the actor as well, have said that there's a larger story here in terms of kind of sexualization of children, and from a number of different angles saying that children can consent to certain things.
Oh.
That ties into this whole thing, and we basically have a new ruling class. I mean, if there's any doubt about the fact that this is a ruling class, I mean, if you want to see who wields the power in society, look to the ones you're not allowed to criticise. I'll just leave that there. But thing is, that ruling class has this seedy underbelly, and it's not that far under. It's like really bulging out, basically, and people that are calling it out are getting attacked. Films like this will get dismissed because they're shining a light on something that a certain number of people who have a vested interest in this structure, this new societal structure, this new ruling class, they'd rather people weren't aware of what's really going on because the whole thing could crumble. There's different levels of it. I mean, we've got your mainstream reviewers. There's a guy who's a real scumbag. I mean, I had a lot of appreciation for him back in the day, like in film reviews, a guy called John Campier. And I'll weave the clip into this. Somebody asked him, like, you're going to see this film Sound of Freedom, which was a logical question because it's been very successful. It wasn't a trolling question. Well, I mean, I don't believe it was. It was a legit question. He's a film reviewer. He talked about films, and this is a big one that's out. And he just dismissed it. He's like, nah, not interested.
Costanza writes, Canstanza. Are you going to see The Sound of Freedom?
Nah, no interest in it. What's next?
I saw like a poster. I don't even know what it's about.
I mean, it's the only thing that looks remotely interesting to me about is Jim. I always mispronounce his name. Caviezel. Yeah, he's a good actor. Yeah, I mean, I like him, but I don't have any interest in the movie. All right, what's next?
Yeah, we know why. He's an absolute scumbag. He's John Camp. Follow his Twitter thread. You'll see where the kind of stuff that he believes in. But on the flip side, weirdly, I mean, it's not weirdly, I suppose, because there is connective tissue. Jim Caviezel, Mel Gibson, they did The Passion of the Christ together. Mel Gibson spoke out about his film favourably. In fact, I'll weave that clip in as well.
One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Our future is our children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I think the more that we need to take a step back from what Mel Gibson did, which I can't support how he acted when he acted that way. However, we should take a step back and listen to what he's saying about children at this point in time. It's no coincidence that him and Jim Calvis, I can never pronounce his surname, him in particular, after The Passion of the Christ, which was a film about God, which was about Christianity, he's effectively been blackballed as an actor from that moment in time, which tells you that there has to be an agenda, because why would a film about Jesus, the life of Jesus, be causing problems? And it's something to me. It's
a sequel to that as well.
You what, sorry?
They're doing a sequel to the
Yes, they are.
Yeah, the Resurrection.
And it's a story to tell. It's Jesus. If you believe in that sort of thing, Jesus was risen from the dead, and there was 3 days after he had died. So there is a 3-day story to tell. So it is a powerful story. Whether you believe it or not, it is a powerful story, and it will do very well because of the subject matter. But this isn't so much. Can I please bring up what a particular Bloomberg article said?
Fire away.
So the Bloomberg article was written by a chap called Noah Balatsky. So Noah Balatsky wrote, so is Sound of Freedom a QAnon dog whistle, or is it just another thriller? The answer is that, whatever the filmmaker's intentions, it functions as both. These narratives do little to help victims, but they can create coalitions of feeling, disgust, and righteous rage that connect conspiracy theory, with the mainstream. That's why Trump's screening it, and that's why its popularity is ominous. So why did I bring out Noah Balatsky? Well, Noah Balatsky, on February the 21st, 2017, published a tweet, which stated pedophiles are essentially a stigmatized group. Certain people get designated as deviants. People hate them. So when we look a bit further at Noah Balatsky, at nberlat, if anybody wants to comment on the bastard, to put it bluntly, he was the spokesperson for a group called Prostasia. Prostasia is an advocacy group for MAP, minor attracted persons. Anybody in their right mind would know a minor attracted person is a paedophile. So the person who has wrote an article for Bloomberg saying it is a right-wing QAnon dog whistle Trump piece is actually the former spokesperson for minor attracted persons. And I have to be very clear on this. To suggest that you can be a minor attracted person suggests that you have a choice. Choice has to go both ways. So there has to be, I like you, you like me. How can a paedophile be a choice when the child isn't able to consent until they reach a certain age? And that's my point on that. And I think it's absolutely disgusting that Noah Balatsky's article has been held up as reason why this film is bullshit. And it is, the more that I hear about people like this commenting when his tweet from February 2017 is well remembered, the people are frightened for whatever reason. Maybe not frightened, maybe I think unsettled would be a better word. They are unsettled by the thought of this film with a 14 million budget, which over this weekend will probably hit £100 million at the box office, and that's just America.
I think it might already have done actually as well. I know last time I checked a couple of days ago, it was at 85, and it's actually grown. Films usually drop off. They
96.2.
Yeah, so it's going to do well, and that's just domestically, like you say. That's in the US. I went to see Mission Impossible 7 this last weekend. I enjoyed it, but apparently that's underperforming domestically as well. So there's some thought that maybe there's an interesting theory. A lot of the people that were on board with Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick last year were the kind of like very patriotic people, the people that actually believe in the country that they live in. And believe in like Western values and stuff, and that it's something to defend. That was kind of like at the heart of that film. That crowd aren't going to see Mission Impossible 7. They're going to see Sound of Freedom because it wasn't the Tom Cruise thing. It was the subject matter of that film and the kind of heartwarming message that it gave to that crowd of people. So I bet there's a big chunk of that people that are actually they'd rather go see Sound of Freedom. I personally would have rather gone to see Sound of Freedom, but
can I just ask, is Dead Reckoning just come out in America at the moment?
No, it's international. Dead Reckoning Mission Impossible, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's been out. I mean, I went to see it last weekend.
So, Dead Reckoning, just for context here, Dead Reckoning has got a box office of 259 million. The Flash, where are we here? The Flash, which interestingly enough now is on Sky. You can buy it on Sky, so it's still at the cinema. did 267 million. Sound of Freedom, which hasn't even been publicised, 96.2 million there. There is something to be said there. I think when it's all said and done, I think it'll cross the billion barrier, will the Dead Reckoning. I do think that.
Could do if it has legs. Yeah, that's the thing. It might not be the best opening, but we'll know more in a couple of weeks, depending on how much it drops off. I think one of the factors against it is the fact that they've called it part one, and so people say, I don't want to see half a film. I'll wait till the second one's out and then just watch the first one.
Yeah.
But that's a separate subject. So as for Sound of Freedom, so you looked something up a couple of weeks ago. It was interesting that it's been licensed or something, or registered to have a 4K release or something. So there is hope that we will get it, physically be able to watch it in the UK, even if it's not a cinema release. There'll at least be a home video and a streaming option as well, no doubt.
Yeah, unless they do the bullshit thing that they used to do, which will be region lock the videos, because let's not forget, I've got a 4K version of Midsummer, which I absolutely love. Midsummer. It is a really visceral horror film. It's right up my street, and that isn't playable on certain media, should we say, certain players. So whether or not they will try and do the same thing with Sound of Freedom to really try and lock it down and make it unplayable is ridiculous. In which case, I hope you would advocate for putting up hacks on your site so people could unlock their devices.
Yeah, if it's the only way. No, I'm sure it'll get a physical media release. There's usually a way. I mean, with a lot of these films, in fact, let me just show you. I know it was one we talked about a while ago, but not the best film, to be fair. It's really low budget. My Son Hunter, which was you can get that and it plays in the UK. I like to get it from the US. So even films like that, you do have options for stuff like that. But one other thing I wanted to just talk about, I'm probably going to do a video with the core about this as well. You heard about the cinema issues that people are experiencing where the US are watching Sound of Freedom and then all of a sudden there are technical issues, or it might even just be cancelled before you even go in. There was some theory that the cinemas were trying to bury this film, that they'd been paid by Disney to suppress viewings by cancelling viewings and coming up with reasons. I'll intersperse some clips here of some of the footage that's been going around. Paul Joseph Watson did a video of it, so I'll just be lazy and just clip in the stuff that he put in.
Just to let you guys know again, it is gonna get hot.
So why is it only this one though, not all the other ones?
Weird smells.
This horrible smell. It smelled almost like an electrical fire.
Leaving the lights on to ruin the movie.
They literally had the lights on.
They kept the lights on the entire movie.
Who does that?
They turned all the lights on during Sound of Freedom.
The lights didn't turn off for the first 10 minutes.
What's actually happening?
We'll give you our free passes to come back and see it again, hopefully without interruption. I unfortunately apologize for the inconvenience, but we're getting it hopefully looked at later in the week.
Can I trust you?
Sorry, guys.
Really? This is called intentional. They don't want it to go to the box office gross.
The bathrooms suddenly encountering problems.
Getting refunds for the Sound of Freedom because apparently the water pressure in the bathrooms aren't working here, so no one can watch.
The movie being deleted and people being told to leave.
Tried going to see Sound of Freedom, and this happened. No one left until they played the movie. They tried to give us free tickets if we left.
Along with other odd interruptions and cancellations.
And about an hour and 20 minutes into the movie, we get a random emergency evacuation.
When people come out and complain, it's not our fault. We have to get this situated so that everybody can feel accommodated, and then we'll restart the movie, okay?
Restart the movie?
So, I personally do not for a second believe that the actual cinemas themselves are in any way involved with this. I'm not saying that for legal reasons, but they wouldn't be, cinemas like AMC, they wouldn't be opening this film in more cinemas. They wouldn't be allowing even more than they'd originally planned if they were also at the same time countering that. It'd be like me giving you £1,000 and then somebody's accused me of trying to bankrupt you by accusing me of taking £10 off you. It's like, well, if I've given you, I wouldn't give you all this and take that away if I wanted to bankrupt you. That's the wrong way of going about it. But what I do think is there will most likely be a movement out there that's trying to sabotage screening, so they're not beyond like messing with whether it's the aircon or pulling fire alarms or whatever, whether it's people at work there behind the scenes or whatever.
You know, whether or not it's individual staff who, for whatever reason, are against the idea of a film that is designed to bring awareness to child sex trafficking. So quite why people would do that, I don't know. And maybe they are defending their left-wing hero, Noah Balatsky.
Yeah. Well, it's just fanaticism. I mean, it's not an equal thing, but we saw this when The Force Awakens came out. There were a bunch of very annoyed fans with Disney, and it was an organised effort across the globe to go into cinemas and shout "Han Solo dies" in the middle of the screening because they were just bitter, and it was a thing. I mean, I know someone who he had that happen. I'm not saying that it was like an actual organisation that was doing it specifically, but it became a thing. This most likely, if there is anything to it beyond just being a coincidence, it's probably just people that aren't connected with the cinema. It's not like that kind of a deal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, well, we'll cut it short there anyway. So, looking forward to seeing this film. We had to talk about it, and you raised some really good points. So,
yeah, thank you. And I just want to say sorry to anybody who may have been offended or, you know, may be a bit jarred by what I'm saying, but it's a reality that I've lived. It's a reality that I fight on a personal level. I fight on a, I suppose, semi-professional level as well. And it's something that I will continue to do until the day I die, because I think children need protecting. I can't have children myself, ironically, but it doesn't mean I can't do what I can to bring awareness that children are getting hurt every single day.
yeah, absolutely. So, we're covering the stories with this. If you go to brandxreviews.com, the website that has a lot of news coverage on this film. It's been pretty much daily, so there will be updates on there. And the availability of this film, when it comes out, will be prominent on the website as well. So if you want updates, go there. There's no ads, we don't make revenue off or anything like that. We're just doing a public service. So check out brandxreviews.com, and there will be news and updates with regards to this film and other similar subject matter.
Thank you for having us on, Joseph.
Always good to have you.